New OGs. The New OGs is a State Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. Look, Illinois is changing how people get their electricity, and Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. If you're a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, you can raise the value of your home, and you can do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. In fact, they can only work with you if they can save you money. Solar Masters is a Black-owned business. It's a SunPower dealer, which is an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience. And for the end of 2020, they're also giving a $1,000 cash rebate to anyone who goes solar on top of all that stuff. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bobby, you mean to tell me?
Yes, this is what I mean to tell you.
Can save money on their electricity.
If you're a homeowner in Illinois, you can save money on your electricity. Yes.
Help the environment.
They can help the environment. That's a second thing they can do.
Raise the value of their home.
They will raise, yes, 4 to 5% is what the Department of Energy says. They can raise the value.
And you gonna give them $1,000 if they do it before the end of the year?
And then if they sign up before the end of the year, they don't even have to, if the panels aren't up before the end of the year, it's okay. As long as they sign up before the end of the year, when the panels go up, they'll get $1,000.
Man, that's better than the audacity of a white woman to blame other people when she drove her child to a social event with a rifle and let him loose in the middle of social disruption.
Well, it was a long way to go, but it is better than that. It is better than that. So here's an even better deal. If you don't own a home in Illinois but know somebody who does and you recommend them, Solar Masters will actually pay you $500 for referring that person. So head over to Yes, sir.
You don't have to own a house to get that $500.
You do not have to own a house. You just have to refer someone who does, and then if they go solar, you get $500. So it's $500 for you, $1,000 for the homeowner. Everybody's happy. By my math, that's $750 a piece. But y'all can break it up any way you want to. Go over to www.gosolarmasters.com and get in contact for a free consultation or to refer someone you know. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy.
Yeah, baby.
That is the network that we are on right now. If you're joining us live and you're on Twitch or you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, you are likely watching us through that stream. Or through our new OG side. We plan to do a lot more at Twitch as time goes on. We've had a crazy end of this. The whole year's been crazy. What are we talking about? The whole thing's been a mess. Go to People of Comedy or People of Comedy Network on Instagram. Find all the great podcasts they have. Up and down the whole talent scene of Chicago. They put out some amazing stuff. Everything from Bitcoin podcast to podcasts about why someone is very disliked in the Chicago comedy community. It's all there. Make sure you check it out. What's going on, everybody? How are we doing?
You just made me realize something. You know that old school kind of lame throwaway excuse when you haven't called somebody that you probably should have called. You're like, oh man, it's just been crazy lately. Like, you can't say that because it's been crazy for everybody, nigga. Like,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Been crazy. Like,
that's where we are right now. Yeah. No one's functioning normal at this point. You know what I mean? That's just not happening. No one's doing that. What's going on with you, man? How you feeling? What should we do?
I'm doing great, man, because this is not something that I ever hope to achieve. I just never thought of it as something that I would ever, a day I would ever need this or want this. And I don't really need it or want it, but it's good to know that I'm just a better human being than the nigga in the White House. I have way more nuts than him. He's a pussy. Imagine being a peasant and knowing that you're better than the king. That's
right.
Great.
I mean, it doesn't bode well for kings down the road. That's for sure. That once the peasants start realizing that they are better than the king, that starts to create some options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't. Their whole motif, their whole style, their whole MO or whatever is macho man. They're supposed to be like the strong or whatever. This is some cowardly, weak shit. A man accepts a defeat, the greatest generals in the world in history. They've been beaten. They won more than they lost, but they lost. Nobody was undefeated.
They knew how to take an L, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They knew how to take an L.
And this shit is just like these motherfuckers, he's trying to come to terms with it. What?
Yeah.
Him need a nap? Like, what the fuck that mean? Each other? Did they give him some animal cookies and a juice? The fuck does it mean? If this motherfucker don't get a box and start loading up his shit, like put this nigga shit. Like, he probably don't even have anything in the White House to load up. That fake motherfucker probably has nothing going on there's probably nothing changed in the Oval Office from when Obama came there. That motherfucker probably brought like a pen.
You know what's crazy? The election was a week and a half ago. This is our second show since the actual election, and the loser has still not been like man enough to step out and be like, all right, y'all, you got me. Like, I tried, but we just couldn't get it done this time. You know what I mean? Like, we still, like, the thing that really bothers me about it is, like, there are a lot of parents who are watching him and whose children are watching him who are not, like, telling them this is the wrong way to behave. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like, how can you, I mean, people say that, but let me say something. That's something you should be teaching your child at 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old that's watching the president and cognitively understanding that this nigga is resisting, that's a brilliant fucking kid. So
sure, I just mean, like, you know, this isn't necessary. Like, again, like you said, this is a side of the political spectrum who is all about, like, you know, traditional, stereotypical, patriarchal manliness, right?
Yeah,
it's like I'm like, you know, we've talked about on this show even about how they see liberalism as weakness, right? Like, that's the big issue, is that they see being liberal as being weak, and that is where their issue really takes hold, is in this idea that liberalism is weakness. And so to watch their high and mighty guys sit here, I mean, not coming out and, like, I listened to the beginning of a podcast earlier today, and the lead-in was just different presidents giving concession speeches, talking about unification, like, you know, a succession of presidents dating back as long as it's been televised that presidents have done it, right? All of them being cordial. John McCain calming people who were booing when Obama got elected, and then, like, talking about how this is a great opportunity, actually. And, like, that is, you know, to me, as someone who's competed my whole life, like, losing graciously when you've been beaten is as, like, stand up a thing as you can do, right?
It's the most stand up thing you can do.
Winning is easy, and winning graciously isn't that much harder. I'm going to be honest, right? Like, winning and being gracious about it, it's not as hard as people make it out to be, because, like, you won. So, like, being cool about it in public is not very difficult if you can act a fool once you get alone, right? But, yeah, like, being able to step in front of other people and admit that, like, you didn't get enough or you didn't do enough, like, that's where the hard part comes in, and that's where, like, true integrity is.
The crazy thing is, I don't like this piece of shit, but what he said was actually pretty great. If you get a chance to see, John Bolton basically gave a concession speech for Trump, where he could have came out and said, I still believe that this is blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. However, because of our continuity of government and peaceful transition, I am going to give Mr. Biden Vice President Biden access to everything in case I am wrong. However, I still sternly believe that this is this. He could still say that he thinks that there was fraud and shit, and do it if he had character and integrity and cojones. Like, if he had any balls whatsoever.
He's definitely in cahoots. He's in cahoots.
Like yeah, I do. Like you said, you're a sports athlete, man. I'm insanely competitive. But if you beat me, I'm gonna look at, hey man, you got me. Damn, here. You know, so I'm gonna give it up because I want mine when I win. So,
exactly.
Like,
well, that's the other part too.
Somebody else, if you beat me, I'm gonna give you your props.
Yeah, that's the other part too. Is like
you kicked my ass at roast battle.
Yeah, but you were a man about it.
I did not do none of that. I was like, I saw when I fucked up when we was on stage. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's over.
I mean, Jay Washington beat me in a roast battle one time that I thought I should have, like, I thought I probably deserved maybe I don't feel like I got cheated. I just feel like it could have gone either way, right? And like I still took it because even though it was close enough where I could have complained, like in the end, that's the decision. You know what I mean? And like obviously the stakes are higher. The stakes may be a little bit higher when you have over $1 billion in debt, right? Like that's and everybody's asking for it.
You said $1 million, $1 billion.
No, I said $1 billion, with a B. Yeah. I was nasally with it. A billion with a B, right? You owe 1 point some. Anytime that your debt is expressed in 1 point something.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Anytime you got a thing where the number is expressed as like a number, and then someone like says point something, and it's like they're talking about $1 and not like, because if it's $1.25, they're just gonna say $1.25, right? They don't say
$1.25.
But man, if you're talking about 1 point something, and you know it's millions or billions coming, either way, it's a problem, right? Like you don't want to. You definitely don't want to be in debt anything with a something point something. And, you know, I think that part of the problem is integrity and character. But I think if he was actually worth like, say, $10-15 billion and didn't have this debt, I think the ease of him, don't get me wrong, he's a narcissist. Maybe I'm crazy, right? Like maybe his level of narcissism is too big for this. But part of the thing is if he didn't have this debt to come home to when it was over, because one of the things he's expressed is concern about the fact that he doesn't really have any money. And like, he's not sure.
He's been living rent free, eating free.
He's been telling people in private, like apparently the stories that are coming out is that he's been telling people in private that he has concerns about like what could happen legally to him once this is over. He could be sued into nothingness when this is over. And I've been close to broken and like, I've sold meat door to door because I was close to broke. That's how desperate I was to make money. I worked with straight up meth heads selling meat door to door because that's how and I was just like not necessarily in great debt. I just needed to keep getting money in. I couldn't imagine what you would stoop to if you were 1.1 billion in debt.
You think Melania OnlyFans gonna be popping? Huh? I'm saying Melania's OnlyFans probably gonna be popping.
It's gonna be wild, boy.
You have guests. 50 Cent gonna be there, Lil Wayne gonna be there.
Yeah, bringing all the
rappers gonna come through.
Oh man, it's so wild. He's in a bad like
teasing and then vodka drop in, but it never happens.
Like part of that's part of the deal, right? Like part of the delay is that the other part is like this is the problem with spending so much time building up the people whose ideas you oppose or who you're trying to beat as like evil demon people, because it's hard then to that part of concession that Bolton tried to explain, right? This idea of like, you know, I don't think that Biden won, but I'm gonna let him come in there. Like that doesn't fly with Trump supporters. And the reason it doesn't fly with them is because this guy has spent so much time building up all these stories about laptops and Ukraine deals and all this other shit that the idea of Trump just calmly letting him come in without it being a big fucking deal, like that doesn't fit with what his cult followers need to see.
Trump is living the shit that you always say about these conspiracy motherfuckers. Like, hey, you can't believe that shit and then just go to work at Target the next day like everything cool. Like Trump's like, hey, I can't leave this motherfucker. I told you. They eat babies, man. These motherfuckers eat babies. We gotta stop this shit.
That's the thing. When you build the lie up so big about who the person is that you're dealing with, if you lose to that person, then like all that shit kind of falls away, right? Like all those blinders, all those things you put up, like it gets revealed as like too churchy of a world, but it gets revealed that like, oh, this was a whole, like, he didn't really want to be president in the first place, man. This guy was running, like, I say as a goof, and you're going to be like, well, not as a goof, but like kind of as a goof. Like, he didn't have plans. He just saw he could fuck the system up, and he saw he'd get people to get behind him, and he thought he would get money out of it. That was the whole plan. The whole plan was that. And then he got the gig. And that's why his decisions and his ideas have been all over the place, not really fitting. And that is why, that's why the cult of personality that's developed behind him doesn't fit the Republican Party, because it's not that party. Not to say that party is great, but it's not, his ideals are not Republican traditional ideals.
Not even close.
No. And so, like, here we are in this place where this guy's really, I mean, he's 0 for 12 in court cases. They set up a hotline, which they've now taken down, by the way. The hotline is down. There is no more Trump hotline. It was getting filled with prank calls anyway. The TikTok explosion of prank calls. Dude, if you search Trump prank on fucking TikTok, you will spend the rest of your day watching people call the hotline and say hilariously wild shit to those people.
Okay, I might have to do that.
Real staffers had to man those hotlines.
Kelly McEnany, I think I said it right. Damn, I thought I fucked it up, but I think I said it right.
Kaylee.
Ah, damn, I said the back part right and the first part wrong.
You gotta you gotta make the name sound like she's from Aspen.
Literally went on TV talking about 231 affidavits. Man, the nigga's down 5 million. He's down 5 million. Just let's talk about I got 231 affidavits.
Those court cases, like the transcripts from those court cases should be turned into sitcom. Like if they rebooted Night Court, it should be the first 12 episodes should be the 12 court cases.
Hey, we're going to trademark that right now. Can somebody from WGA, can we timestamp this? We're going to talk about that offline.
That shit is hilarious.
Dude, you got the
judges,
right
judges straight up were asking lawyers for Trump, like, of the 594 ballots that you are disputing, which 594 is not enough to overcome 40,000, by the way. But of these 592 ballots that you're disputing, like, how many of them have you been able to find actual fraud? And this dude, the judge had to admit, there's a specific point where the judge has to remind him of, like, that basically your law license is on the line here, bud. You know what I mean? Like the way you answer this next, like he asked him the question once and the lawyer for Trump was kind of like cagey about it. Yeah. And then the next time he asked him the question, it was like in this way of like, you do understand the penalty for being on bullshit in here right now, right? And then the guy finally had to be like, we found no issues with these ballots, right? And like 592 ain't overturning 40,000 anyway. It's not overturning it anyway. So they've been hanging out of this bullshit and all these phony efforts. And in the meantime, Trump is like posting, I think there was a sequence of like 54 posts where 27 of them were flagged on Twitter as being loaded with false information.
Dude, this is why I'm excited about, we were talking about before the show started, we were talking about Georgia. The reason why I'm an optimist about Georgia is because it's almost impossible for Trump to campaign for them in Georgia. What the fuck is he gonna say? This election is rigged. They stole the shit. Vote, motherfucker. Like it doesn't make sense. You can't say the election's rigged and it's not work. And they frauded me out of the election, but vote for these two people.
I thought one of the dumbest things about this whole election is rigged deal that's going on. First of all, I want to like so people understand this. And don't get me wrong, like concerns about voter fraud has been a thing that like people have used for a long time to try and disenfranchise people, and I understand that. And this whole current concept of election fraud is a thing that spurs from 2000 and the Brooks Brothers riot, because they're the first people to chant it in a situation where recounts were going on, right? And a lot of laws from then to now are built on the backs of that crazy shit that happened. It was a move that was done to create voter suppression in the South because it was too close in Florida. That's been the game plan. That's the whole point of getting felons their rights back in Florida is trying to like overcome that issue, right? So like I understand that, but the current belief at all that there is election fraud or fraudulent voting or mail-in ballot issues in any way is completely a fiction created by Donald Trump and his people. And outside of that, there is no one, like any concern that is made of voter fraud is an offshoot of his pushing it from that level. If he wouldn't have started in 2016 with that bullshit, or if he would have let it go after that and been like, I won, I guess his voting shit is dope. And went on with his long head after that, like, oh shit, I won the Electoral College, my favorite thing, right? And like, let's keep this thing moving. And just been like, we're all good. Like, there wouldn't have been any of these issues that are going on. All this insanity that has now led what will probably be 70 million people or close to it to believe that this election had a large-scale election fraud is only because of him.
Yeah, Bobby, the sweetest thing about this election is that Trump did it to himself. He killed himself by telling his people not to vote through mail and vote by election day, I believe he probably stifled some vote because I'm sure there were some people who didn't want to go out and vote election day because of COVID, or they couldn't go out because of COVID. But he probably would have voted through the mail and chose not to because they listened to his dumb ass.
He certainly screwed up any, and I think in the end he ends up losing by enough, even in the states that were. Hold on, I think even in some states like he loses by a margin that's wide enough that like people who missed because they didn't get out that day or whatever is a problem. But like I think I agree with you though. That there's a ton of people who decided that they were going to try and make their vote a thing that happened on the day in person. And there are definitely some people who are probably like, if voting by mail is out, it's probably not going to happen for me.
But I'm saying I think he also made liberals vote by mail at a higher degree. When he was talking shit about that, the first thing I did was like, oh, what the fuck can we do? Oh, I can drop this motherfucker off? Okay, you're not finna fuck with the mail. Like, I never made a voting plan before, ever. And people were thinking about that shit weeks, if not months in advance, that people that probably that would have been wishy-washy about going on election day, his fear of voting by mail and expressing it made it such a focal point that even with coronavirus, I don't know if we would have emphasized it as much if he hadn't made such a big ass deal about how shitty it was.
Well, not only that, but like his complaints about the issues that the Republican Party raised in general about like the postage date, like when it's postmarked by and when like that. I think that even not only encouraged the people who are voting by mail to make sure they got it done, but like I made sure my shit was done like weeks ahead of time, just so there was no bullshit.
Yeah.
And you could tell they knew that was going to be a problem because that's why they fought to change the laws to not counting those votes until the election day started. They knew they were in trouble then. They knew they were fucked when that started happening. But in the end, after all this shit that's happened, after all that's gone on, and I think it's also funny that like the idea of claiming that votes are rigged in a state in which like your senator is currently winning, like those are also their votes, right? Like what happened was there are states where people voted for Biden, but voted for Republicans down ballot. Like in Texas was the first time. Texas, normally you go in and it's by party. You vote by party. And for the first time, Texas had the ability on their ballots to go in and vote for one president on one ticket and vote for other people in other tickets, which is why there were some wins in some lower down ballot areas in which Trump still won the state there. But like the reverse has happened in Georgia, where like still a lot of votes for Perdue and Loeffler, even though Trump is getting beat in that state, you know what I mean? So you can't throw out ballots without ruining your own chances down ballot, which is what also makes it ridiculous. So they got nothing out of that when it was all said and done.
They're also apparently, and I think I knew this and forgot, but they were also, I forgot, there's a term I should have Googled before I started this phrase, but there's a term about ballots where people just voted on the presidency. They don't vote on anything else. Those are like people who aren't regular voters, but they came out and drove this election. And apparently there were a ton of Biden votes, but there are a lot of Biden votes that are just says Biden, right?
Right.
And I saw a thing they were talking about, and one of the commentators was like, "Yeah, I remember in 2008, people were literally coming out of the polling booth going, 'Woo, Obama!' And it's like, oh, well, who did you vote for city council? And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Obama! Like when people get really motivated in this case, I don't think they were motivated for Joe Biden as much as they were against Trump.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of new voters, obviously young voters. You know how much I talk shit about young people not voting, and this is the first time they shut me the fuck up since we had this show. In a couple elections since 2018. I think were we doing the show in 2018?
No, I think we started early 2019.
Yeah. Okay.
Early 2019. Like we started like in February or March of 2019. We were planning this out, I think, in
maybe it was just conversations we were having about
probably
people voting. But yeah, I mean, I was like, young people typically don't come out, and they did this time.
Our first 3 or 4 shows included arguments about that very thing.
Okay. I knew it was early on in the game.
It was primary season, so we were definitely bitching and moaning about it back then, right? Like,
yeah.
It's a, it's interesting because a lot of young people did not come out the way you wanted for Democrats in the primaries, right? Like, well, the way I wanted it in the primaries, at least, let's put it that way, is the way that, that those arguments that we were having was a concern over really the primary side of the vote, not necessarily the actual general, in that, the issues that the progressive side of the Democratic Party had was that young people weren't coming out to vote in the primaries when it mattered, but they obviously came out in general and supported the removal of the current president, which is a great thing. And to finish it off as like a little icing on the cake, election officials came out and declared that this is the most secure election of all time. So,
hey man, niggas is tap dancing on Trump's grave, dog. It's crazy. Like, it's so. I know.
I'm sorry. Let me be clear about who is saying this. Cybersecurity officials, like the top level cybersecurity officials in the country, government and industry officials who coordinate election cybersecurity. It's the most secure in American history.
Wow. So
the people who watch for the intrusions on the internet are saying this one is the most secure in history. So,
and here's the banana thing about that is I feel like that's something that normally wouldn't get done, but or if that story came out that it was the most secure in history, we might talk about it, but it would be just a throwaway. It's only a story because of Trump's punk ass saying the opposite, and I feel like shit like that, like cybersecurity people are like, should we say the most? Well, technically it is the most. Put it in a headline. The most security. Everybody wants to slam dunk on this nigga.
There's been a lot of concern now about what happens now, right? Because one, there's issues with him he's still holding out of this fantasy. Homie hasn't really been out, except for Veterans Day, he has not come out.
He came out today.
He came out today? He's been tweeting, I know that. Did he go out to play golf today?
He literally, right before I came on to pre-production with you, he was speaking. He probably just finished up. The motherfucker was, I don't know if he took questions or not. Literally, the last thing that I heard on the news was, we'll tell you if the president takes questions, whatever. So we could be missing some incredible shit right now.
He's probably dropping the realist at the moment. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, who knows what's going on? But like, he's not gonna, the job, it's over for him, right? He's out on that. He's not gonna have the gig anymore. Have you thought at all about what type of, there's been talk about what he's going to do, and part of the delay has been in trying to figure out what the next move might be for him. Unfortunately, unlike previous presidents who lose, I don't think he's going to just go down to Mar-a-Lago and disappear, right? That's probably not.
So
he owes 1.1 billion, dog. He can't just go kick it right now.
There's three answers to this. I'll give just quick one lines of each.
Yeah.
Answer one, his ass is going to jail. That's what's supposed to happen, what should happen. There's cases waiting for him. Historically, presidents don't typically have to answer for shit. However, this nigga actually has cases waiting already. Right. So we'll see. We'll see. That's the first scenario. Scenario two is he becomes, people are using the term media tycoon or whatever. They're being generous as fuck. But the theory is 70 million people voted for this motherfucker. If he starts a news network or some kind of Trump Vision network, Trump TV network, that's a paid network like Netflix or whatever, and he can get 10 of the 70 million to give him $10 a month. It's $100 million a month. Like that's a fucking media network. That seems like a possibility. And option three is a Russian's gonna put a bullet in that nigga.
I think the number one option for him would be to star in a reboot of Orange is the New Black, and sell that to Netflix, and instead of going to jail, he could maybe just like play a guy in jail for like 5 years. Like, how about this? Okay, I don't go to jail. Dude, I don't go to jail. I do a show for Netflix.
The thing is, this has been seasons 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Arrested Development. These motherfuckers are the Blues.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're totally the
didn't
boost. It's all day.
They're the boost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The dad is a sexual, a little bit of a sexual harasser in real life. Jeffrey Tambor.
Real estate developer. He goes to jail.
Estate.
He turns it over to his two sons, and his one son is an idiot. The other son is also an idiot, but he tries to do some good shit. The daughter thinks she's hot and fucks everybody. Holy fuck! How do we miss this?
Yeah, and
how do
only
we miss this?
This
is Arrested. We've been living a real life Arrested Development, like.
And it has a cult following. It has a cult following where only a specific set of people want to see another season.
Holy fuck!
Don Jr. is the true star of the show, which is Jason Bateman. That's
Eric is 100%. I can't remember the other brother's name, but
yeah, I think pretty actor.
Help us out. Fast Arrested Development. I hate that I forget his name. He used to be married to Amy Poehler, and they aren't anymore.
Oh yeah,
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett.
Yes, very funny.
Yes. That's Eric Trump.
even the nigga that blew himself.
Tobias.
Tobias. That's motherfucking. That's Slender Man.
Jared, that's Stephen Miller or Jared. That's Jared. Yeah. So like I could see that. I mean, you know, the honest answer is I think Trump deserves to go to jail, but I just don't see that happening. I think he will try anything he can to avoid that. I think one of the possibilities is that, you know, the thing he's been able to do is fundraise for campaigning. And if he starts a march towards 2024 right now, or his son moves to the Midwest and starts running for some type of local congressional seat, you can see that money, the ability to pull in campaign money and sell merch and shift to that being a direction they go. Did you see Don Jr. and his wife are supposedly making a play? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the thing. Did you see that Trump endorsed the current head of the RNC?
Oh, Ronna McDaniel?
Yeah. He endorsed Ronna McDaniel while his kid is trying to make the play to basically replace her.
Yeah, I think Trump Jr.'s actual move is going to be to end up somewhere in the Midwest running for a congressional seat. I think that's where it ends up going. I think that's the move, because they're going to, like, the thing that I think we've learned about Donald Trump is that it is possible, like, we've lived here for a long time without the belief that America could slip into autocracy, right? Like, we've lived here for a long time with this idea of like watching other countries see like the rise of dictators take over and shit like that. And we've always been like, aha, look at that. Can't happen here. We've got a good ass system. And like, we've really watched over the last 4 years how this like idea has infected a whole, like, literally tens of millions of people to get them to believe that this is a way to go. And Trump is like a buffoon about it. He's not even really great at it. He's just got this alluring personality and this ability to like fail upwards.
I don't see how the personality is alluring.
But the concern, I don't either, but he is, right? But the concern is that like he's able to pull that off, and he's a kind of a bumbling idiot about it. The concern is what happens when somebody who's got some suave or some real capability also pushes those same ideas on people with that same bullshit. And so I think Don Jr. going to get a congressional seat in the Midwest is like sowing that seed of like, I'm Daddy 2.0, and that I've already done some lower level political work. And I think that makes him more viable.
Version of his dad.
Yeah. He's like setting up the better version of him, which I think is a concern.
And again, I can't believe this is the second time I'm quoting John Bolton, but Bolton said something I'm really hoping he's right on, and he's been right on a lot of shit about Trump. He said this belief that Donald Trump will have the same sway in the Republican Party and with the voters that he has today on January 21st is way overblown, because he's like, trust me, as soon as he stops being president, a lot of that magnetism that he has is going to go away immediately. And I think what he may be talking about is that group that we've talked about before in the past that runs the National Prayer Breakfast and things like that. Because once he's out, he's lost, right? If he was God's man.
Well, the users, so like so much of his infrastructure is built on top of grifters, right? Like the thing about a Ponzi scheme that gets bigger is that you just end up with people inside of it that understand that scheme and start running their own schemes, right? Like the way that mobs generally work, like organized crime, is that like the big boss has all these different things he's controlling, and then you find a way to make your little money-making niche, whether it's selling cigarettes or whether it's selling stolen merchandise or whether it's selling drugs or whatever, and you do that under the like guidance and control of the boss guy, and you figure out how to run your game, and the most you can sell, the better you get up into the eyes of the boss. And so, you know, there's all these grifters who are trying to keep the party going for as long as they can because they need to keep their grift going. And I think as long as he is someone they can grift under, as long as there's merch sales to be made, as long as there's another rally to be available where someone's going to show up and spend. I mean, the number of flags that are bought with this man's name on it.
I understand.
And I also don't fucking trust John Bolton. He's a mealy mouth fuck who you know.
I'm just saying, I felt the same way too, because again, like I was saying before, that part of his infrastructure is like the evangelical right. They have no use for him anymore.
No, I get that. I understand the religious side could potentially.
And if they have no use for him, that's a huge swath of his popularity gone.
If he slides hard into this QAnon save the children bullshit, though, like, you know what I mean? He won't. Like, I think he was gonna still. I think underestimating him at any point is a bad idea. Unless he goes, if they can't put him in jail, I think, you know. Who do you think is going to be
70-something million. I think 72 was the last number I heard. 72 million voted for this motherfucker.
That's the second most votes that anybody's ever gotten, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that is impressive.
Insane. That's 10 million more than he got last time.
Now that that's out, you know, Joe and Kamala are the elects. They've given their speeches. I think Joe's speech, essentially his acceptance speech or his victory speech, I thought was extremely powerful in what he said. I have heard old white men stand in front of that podium after winning an election and say a lot of shit that maybe not exactly that, of course, but like say things that were supposed to make us believe that they were going to do certain things that didn't end up happening before. What are your thoughts on, do you think in 4 years we're going to have a better healthcare program? Do you think in 4 years we're going to have better money as far as how our cops' budgets are concerned?
Here's what I think we're going to have. I think we're going to have a better healthcare plan. I think we're going to have an excellent. I think by the summertime, I don't know what normal moving forward is going to be, but whatever normal moving forward will be. By August, we will be there. Like Labor Day is going to be full-fledged, the beach, everybody kicking it and all stuff. And I'm not saying that as like being optimist. I'm saying this as the number of vaccines coming out, Biden having the people he has in charge and the experience that they have and he has, barring some other catastrophe, fucking coronavirus, COVID-21.
Yeah, but like, I understand like all the pandemic shit and trying to get control of that, but like, as far as like the real promises they're making to the people who got them the vote.
Well, I tell you what, the thing he said about Black community have my back and I'm gonna have yours, it gave me a different level of hope simply because I've heard politicians say some shit like that in a Black church. They stand in a Black church in the primary or some shit like that. Come out and vote for me. I always had the Black community's back. But I've never seen a president or president-elect say that to the world. Like, that wasn't a campaign speech. He won. And he said that at probably what's the most important speech he's given thus far.
I want to believe it, is all. Like, I want to believe it.
Well, here's the thing. And there's more to it than just the words of the reason why I believe it. His entire staff, for the most part, most of the power players in his staff were Black women. he picked a black woman. People always emphasize that he said he's going to pick a woman. Initially, he said a woman, probably a woman of color. That was something that so for an old white dude, as much as you want to label him old white racist motherfucker or something like that, you want to complain about the crime bill and shit like that. And again, I'm not going to go all the way back to the crime bill, but go check your facts on it. Black people supported that crime bill. So stop blaming white people for that shit. It wasn't the bill, it was the enforcement. That was the problem with that bill. So blame law enforcement, not the fucking crime bill that we asked for. But anyway, for a dude to come from crime bill to come to saying he admits that he fucked up with the crime bill, okay, and then to know that the person I need by my side to do the right shit is a black woman, I don't know what the fuck you want white people to do.
He just trying not to get assassinated.
Like, I don't know what you want a white dude to do. He couldn't do no better. Like,
he just trying not to get assassinated.
Yeah, this thing is
He's trying to. He watching his back, dog.
Yeah.
I know what y'all don't want to see.
Some niggas is crazy.
They ain't that crazy though. Let me give me a black woman as my vice president. They ain't that crazy.
On the low, Bobby, I think that's why Biden didn't meet with Ice Cube. Nigga Ice Cube's like, well, I want to talk to you about this Biden. He's like, after the election, when I get the full Secret Service.
Yeah, let me just make sure all my shit is together before we do that.
Like, I got the half-ass Secret Service now. I'm just a candidate. Let me get the full detail. And then Mr. I'll never have dinner with the president.
Here's what I'll say about him is that I'll say this about the situation. Jamie Harrison had a campaign ad. And in the campaign ad, he's talking to a voter in South Carolina or a non-voter in South Carolina about why he doesn't vote. And the voter in South Carolina goes, you see this dirt road here? For my whole life, I've lived here. And every person who's wanted my vote, Republican or Democrat, has told me they're going to come here and they ask me what I want. And I say, I want this to be like a paved road. And every one of them promises going to do it. And then 4 years later, they come back and they want my vote again. You know what I mean? But I still don't have a paved road. And that is what I feel like the experience is of people in this country that are talking about Medicare for all and a change in how our neighborhoods are policed and a change in our approach to the environment and a change in an approach to how we deal with income and wages and rent in this country and a change in how we deal with the banks in this country. And so, like, I'm listening again, and I've given my vote again, and I've gone on and put in actual hours of work again to get another Democrat elected into the presidency of the United States. And I'm very excited that there is a woman of color who is the vice president. I think all that is wonderful. But I am advocating, like, they are on the clock. I am giving them a 2-year window to make some advancements that make me believe. Hear me out. Let me finish. They are on the clock. I need to see some movement on some shit that we are talking about here in the next 2 years before I feel, because like I feel my vote deserves to be earned. And I have given it on like the promise of for a long time. I got a little something when Obama was president. So I am like very comfortable being like, I'll give this another shot. But like in 2 years, and I want to be clear, I'm not going Republican. Like, this is not about Republican or Democrat. This is like, do I stay right?
My question is, what constitutes movement? Like, if Biden comes in and by the summertime, let's say best case scenario, I'm right about Georgia. They have the ability to write what they want to write, and he doesn't have to fight Mitch McConnell, right?
Yeah. Say they get the Senate and they're running shit.
And he doesn't have to fight as hard for shit because they already got 51.
Yeah. I'll put it. So I'm trying to still quantify exactly what that is, right? And I understand that means that like that's why I'm also saying I'm giving this some time to see what's happening here because like obviously what's happening like the Senate will definitely determine how I feel about that because if you control the Senate. Like we need to see those when you're talking about clean energy jobs for climate change. I need to see that shit rolling. When you're talking about fixing the ACA and locking it in place, I need to see that. If you are controlling the Senate, I need to see some motion. And if we're and
I want to see a reevaluation of that of the solar energy the conversation. They need to do that or reset that.
And I know that everybody seems to not understand something that I, a college dropout, can understand when it comes to the term defund the police. But like, I need to see real, like, if we have control of the Senate, I need to see more push down in some of the municipal areas through that like top to bottom type of style benefit, where maybe there's benefit created on a federal level by doing X, Y, Z. But some motion to change the trajectory or the pattern of murder of unarmed citizens, largely of color, by police officers.
I have no idea if this is going to happen, and I'm pretty sure Democrats don't want to talk about it.
That seems like a reasonable request.
I'm pretty sure Democrats don't want to talk about it until after Georgia's over, because that's the boogeyman that the Republicans are using against them. But what if they spent the first 2 years making DC and Puerto Rico states so that we would keep the majority in the Senate? If that's
I'm cool with a good plan. If
you got a plan that sets us up so that we can run the table on all that other shit in a less contentious fashion.
If I see that plan unfolding and they move towards statehood and that's a thing that's rolling, sure, because that means that we're gonna end up with some
Nancy Pelosi anyway.
Has but my issue with even in Georgia, there's an Axios interview with Jon Ossoff, and they ask him a series of questions about his support for things. Do you support Medicare for all? No. Do you support defunding the police? No. Do you support the Green New Deal? No.
Bobby, he has to win in Georgia.
I understand.
I don't give a fuck.
I understand.
Georgia, he has 6 years.
I understand.
Hear me out. He has to say that shit. He wins in Georgia. He gets 6 years. Those motherfuckers get Medicare for all, and they realize, oh, you mean this is what they was talking about? Oh, wait, we still got law officers, but we also have counselors that help Jed with his, specialties.
It's the part of politics I have a real problem with.
I know,
that idea.
He has to, man. He's trying to get elected in Georgia. If he says yes to any of that shit, his game is over. It's if he says yes to any of that shit, Obama could come down there, but they need to not invite Ossoff. It's just got to be him and Warnock, because ain't nobody, the white motherfuckers, ain't none of them going, and a lot of black people. You got to remember, Georgia, like the rural areas of Georgia, the niggas is just as conservative as the white people.
I know.
Take the man part out of it. Like, if you take the racism out of if the Republican Party could separate, that's how sick racism is. And it's my favorite thing. If I had one good thing to say about racism, is it eats itself. It constantly eats itself. Their racism, they could dominate. That's because inbred white people are really weird. Yeah, they would dominate if they just got rid of racists. If they got rid of racism altogether,
it's so wild.
Probably more black people who are conservative thinkers, politically, socially, than they are liberal. But they can't stand next to you because you're standing next to the Klan motherfuckers, because you need the Klan motherfuckers, or you think you need the Klan motherfuckers.
Yeah. So, I would love to see that happen. Now, if they don't win the Senate, obviously, what can happen in the next 4 years would be a lot more difficult. But if they fill their cabinet with a bunch of, if John Kasich or Rahm Emanuel end up in the cabinet, there's word coming out that he may appoint Hillary Clinton to the to ambassador to the United Nations.
Okay.
I mean, you say okay because you like and voted for Hillary, but I think there's a lot of the country who's going to be
excellent Secretary of State and
I agree.
And who gives a fuck about who represents us at the United Nations? Who's representing us right now at the United Nations right now?
72 million people voted for somebody who chanted "Lock her up."
Right now, you a smart motherfucker. You don't know. I don't know. I have no idea who our representative at the United Nations is. It might be a nigga named Ted. I have no idea.
Do you think QAnon will be aware of Hillary Clinton as the ambassador?
QAnon doesn't know who's representing us right now. That's my point. You have no fucking idea. So why do you?
I'm not QAnon. QAnon might know that shit. I don't know
who the fuck is representing us right now at the UN. They have no fucking idea, unless he's one of them niggas, which I highly doubt. Know who he was.
I don't know, man.
News that a QAnon motherfucker was representing us at the World What the fuck is it called?
Do you think, as a separate note,
United Nations? Thank you.
Do you?
Let me hang it on that.
So yeah, so like if they do any of that shit, if his move is to, if I see his move generally being to go back to the center and be in this like lovey-dovey with these people that wouldn't even give him the keys to the fucking crib after he won, like that shit will irk me quite a bit. But
I don't care what he says about going to the center. I care about what the legislation is.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I want to see what happens.
Rhetoric, that's who he is.
Yeah, I want to see what goes down. This infighting shit that's happened since the election, where like these CIA, Spanberger, who's basically a CIA spook who like wanted to complain about the mention of socialism or defund the police. That chick talking about we should never say socialist or socialism or defund the police ever again. She can get fucked. That's crazy. Like that shit is not.
You and I had this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
Liberals, we do need to get better at messaging. I know that messaging seems like a petty bullshit thing to talk about, but we see it works. It's 72 million motherfuckers who voted for a monster. Here's the thing. All the motherfuckers ain't racist. I say half of them are probably racist. Half of them are racist. That's 35 million racists. The other 35 million motherfuckers fell for a slogan and an idea and a good marketing pitch. Like Bobby, we both know we both have sales backgrounds. You own a fucking solar company.
I shouldn't have to give you a sales pitch on not shooting me in the fucking street.
To do solar.
That's it. Those are not the same thing. Those are not the same thing.
It is the same thing.
My basic human rights are not the same as buying solar panels. They're just fucking not, bro. They're just not. My life is not solar panels. That's fucking ridiculous, black man.
I know your life is not solar panels.
Neither is yours, nigga.
I'm talking about the level of engagement that people have with the topic that you're talking about.
It is ridiculous. It is crazy to me that I got to come up with a cute saying so you don't shoot me in the street without a gun. That is insulting to me as a human being. Do you understand? And it should be insulting to you too. That should drive you insane. You should tell people to go fuck themselves when they try and tell you that. The fact that Spanberger doesn't know how to sell it is her fucking fault. It's not mine. It's hers. That's the fucking problem. Don't come to us and say we don't know how to sell socialism. You don't know how to sell it, bitch. That's the fucking problem. It's not ours. We're telling you to fund the police. If you don't like the slogan, get to work. We got ours. We know what we want. If you can't sell it and you're almost going to lose, that's because you're bad at being a politician.
I'm not defending Spanberger, but I agree.
That's what the fuck is up, dude.
I'm not defending Spanberger, but I agree defend the police was a shitty fucking slogan. It's
not a slogan. That's the point.
It is a slogan.
It's an action.
It is a slogan. If it's motherfuckers is chanting in the street, it becomes a slogan. As soon as you start chanting in the street.
No, we chant all cops are bastards in the street.
Even if defunding the police is the action you want, then you need to say something else in the street at the fucking things that make people understand. Just like I said,
you need to learn how to say something different in the debate when someone tries
calling it refund the police.
Nah, nigga, you need to learn how to answer better when someone tries to make a claim that defund means abolish completely tomorrow. That's what you need to learn how to do. If you're in a debate with somebody,
it's not about a debate, Bobby.
It is though, because that's when you're in the midst of selling it to somebody.
It's about what it just sounds like to people when they hear it.
Well, then that hoe needs to get on TV and get better at it.
Everybody does the research. Most people don't do the research, man. And
look,
so when you hear defund the police sounds
look, man, Black Lives Matter was a problem 5 years ago too, and now everybody's on board. So civil rights was a problem in the 50s too. I don't think everybody's
on board though. We had that conversation too. They was on board because they didn't have no choice. As soon as they got a choice, as soon as fucking sports came back and they can go down to a bar and shit, the numbers on Black Lives Matter dropped dramatically.
Just wait till they kill it. Well, just wait till they kill another one of us, and we'll see. As they keep killing us, we'll see whether defund the police works or not as a slogan. And in the meantime, if someone has a problem with the slogan, I invite them to create something that better sells an idea. See, the issue is not the fact that there's a problem with the slogan, because if they believed in the actual concept, they would get to work on figuring out how to sell it. But they don't want to sell it. They don't really believe in it. They need to keep it friendly. They need to keep it friendly with the police. And so instead of actually trying to figure out how to get better at pushing the idea, they want to sit there and complain that we don't have a cool enough word for it.
About the
it doesn't rhyme. So you're gonna have to keep dying for another.
I don't care about the politicians. I'm talking about the fucking white people in Appalachia who are poor, broke, and they don't have time or even internet access to research and realize how much shit is going on because they got shit going on in their own life. These motherfuckers is catching hell.
So the politician needs to spend the money on how to spin it better. It's not the activist's fault to we have all of Hollywood. We have all of Hollywood on our side. How can we not have better? How can we not be better at slogans? We tried to spin it before and we called it reform, and nobody wants to do. That's just not the solution.
It's
a sucky slogan.
I don't want to jump in here. I don't want to try and jump. This might be a huge mistake I'm about to make. Jumping in here, but as a white guy. Who hears a lot of other white guys saying stuff that both of you don't like, frankly. And I hear both of your points, and I think they're both extremely valid. I agree with a lot of what XL is saying, and of course I agree with what Bobby's saying. What I think and you were kind of about to touch on that point, XL, a little bit more, is that it is absolutely not the politician's job to create and enforce slogans for people to believe in. It's not. Like their job is to enforce the law and change the law to benefit people. So the people that need to elect politicians need to agree with the messaging. And a lot of those people need and I'm not saying you guys are saying this, I'm saying this. Most people are idiots and they need to be fed something that is palatable enough for them to go, "Oh, well, I agree with that." And
so we end up with autocrats.
Well, sure, but
I mean, if the goal is to continue to appeal to the dumbest of the people, then we're going to end up in a state of stupidity.
Hold on. I'm going into this assuming that we already kind of are in there because of the way that we are very close. Yes. But the way that messaging gets out there is no longer, top down. It's very much inside the circle itself. It comes from within. It comes from people like us. It comes from people, on the ground. And part of the job, at least especially for this in terms, I think, of white people, is to figure out a way to talk to other white people about this and do it so it sounds attractive to them. And I think that's more or less what XL is trying to say is look.
If it's the job of the legislature to write the laws, then you can hear the activists yelling defund the police, and then you can go write a fucking law that doesn't say defund it. And even though, honestly, from a parliamentary point, you're going to have to at some point in your document if you're going to try and present this as a legal document.
That's fine.
But
this is the exact nerd shit that liberals do.
Address a fucking thing.
The other guys hey, I'm a liberal nerd.
Write the legislature then.
We have a show together.
Write the legislature then.
I agree with you in theory, but in practice, 72 million people voted for this nigga, and I'm not saying we have to find a way to reach them. Most of them
can't be reached.
Can suck my hairy balls.
Right.
Like I said, half of the motherfuckers is probably just straight. Let's say 35 million of them get the fuck out of here. But I do believe that there's 35 million of them that if it was presented to them in a different fashion, like if how Trump had the Mr. My Pillow motherfucker, whoever, there's got to be one of them late night niggas that do ads that's a liberal. Find one of them motherfuckers and have them present the shit to them. I'm not saying
we live in a culture of memes.
I'm not trying to say cater.
What I'm hearing is excuses.
I'm not trying to say
doing the work.
I'm not trying to excuse anything. I don't think XL is either.
Excuses for doing the actual work is what it comes down to.
I just know that there are people who aren't engaged. Like they're engaged on. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't know that there's people. I think human nature is to be self-absorbed first and foremost, and because human nature is to be self-absorbed first and foremost, there are people who are in positions in places in the world where you're talking about defund the police. My life just shouldn't need to be a catchy slogan. They don't know defund the police has anything to do with your life because they don't go that far. Because when they hear defund the police, they don't know that there's been X number of killings. There are large swaths of America. Most of those places that are all red are very low populated, large swaths of white America that they don't watch the news that we watch. They don't know about the shit that's going on. And defund the police just sounds like some horrible shit to them.
Sure.
And I'm not saying we should throw all those people away. I don't want to just throw all those people away and assume that they're all monsters because nobody tried to talk to them.
Because they can't think beyond their initial reaction?
Yes.
Like, they might be monsters if they can't get past an initial reaction.
Or dumb.
That is problematic. As a country, that is problematic.
I guess.
And we're probably my thing is
we 72 million people vote for that nigga.
Yeah, that's also problematic. But I'm talking about the idea that
people are monsters and fuck them, or maybe some of them can be saved, and we should make some kind of effort to find out. Hey, are there any good apples in there that just obviously some didn't get through to them.
Well, I'll leave it at this because I want to talk about some other shit. I find it disheartening and ultimately defeating for our country if a decent percentage of our population is unable to obtain human rights because the country is caught up over not being able to learn the definition of a single fucking word. I think it's like, it makes me want to not give a fuck about any of the bullshit anyway, because this is the simplest of concepts to put your head around. And hear me out. Literally, you guys are smart enough to get, and you still are willing to make excuses for everybody else over the lives of people because of confusion over what one word might sound like.
I gotta stop you because I can't let you word that like that. We're making excuses.
I mean, that's what it is.
I am telling you that there are people who aren't engaged in this shit the way that we are. They don't know what the fuck is going on. So when you say they make that choice, if you can't understand that and then say that they're making that choice knowing that they're making that choice saying fuck the lives of other people, they aren't engaged. They don't know that. You didn't know who
you guys are acting like you're acting like you get to hear the phrase and then you're not allowed to do anything about that's not that none of us live in that world. We all have access to look up any piece of information for ourselves. My whole point is it didn't take a lot of time for me to go look up what defund meant in the terms of,
but you're smarter than most people.
I didn't have to be smart. It was a 5-second Google search.
If somebody already is of a different opinion than you at the beginning of the conversation, and then you come with that slogan, and that sounds like some shit they don't like, they're not doing it, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. 72 million motherfuckers, man. Clearly. Cool. The way you're doing it is not working. 72 million, either it's not working or those 72 million people are all monsters. And
I mean,
it's possible that they're all monsters, but I know.
You gotta understand, people didn't just you're also claiming that 72 million people voted for Trump strictly over the concept of defund the police, which I think is also not
honest. I'm not saying at all.
That's not honest either.
I'm saying all the racist shit he did. Locking kids in cages, calling black country shitholes. Obviously how he reacted to the deaths.
And none of those are slogans. Those are
kids
those
in
are
cages is a slogan. That was pushed hard.
Those are words that are all Those are all words that should be abhorrent words.
That Muslim ban is not a slogan. That's an action. He actually did that. Banning Muslim countries. All the shit he did. He has there's a bunch of racist shit going on. And 72 million motherfuckers voted for him. Okay? And I'm saying that we know about all the racist shit he did and what's going on, but I promise you can have a conversation with somebody who's a Trump supporter and they will be genuinely like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought he was great with the black. I thought black people like him. We had that rapper guy, Icicle or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think a catcher's slogan changes their support. I just don't, man. I just don't. I don't. I don't.
We always talk about this Trump as a con man and a salesman. What the fuck do salesmen use?
Yep.
You're a salesperson, Bobby. The pitch is a pitch for a reason. It worked.
Sure. But yeah, man. I hope somebody magically comes up with a magical word to keep us from getting shot in the street. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, that's what we're talking about, dude.
No,
that's what we're talking about.
That's not.
But that's what.
I hate when you
That's
take
what
it
we're
there.
talking
That's what
about.
I'm saying get the message across to people who aren't getting it.
What is the result of defunding the police?
I'm
Less
not
murders
talking
in the
about stopping
street?
the police. I'm talking about somewhere in that 72 million people. I think there's people who don't get that.
There's people that don't want to get it no matter what. So,
Fair
like,
enough.
I don't think a catchy
That's
slogan is
fair.
going to
That's
make
fair.
it magic, dude.
That's totally fair.
Like the minute that we get down to the point of it, it's going to be the same bullshit. So, like, you know, I just don't find benefit in continuing to make it stupider.
You're probably right.
I just don't find benefit in continuing to make it more dumb so that the dumbest of the dumb people can finally get it. I think that's a poor way to go about it.
Not dumb.
I mean, that's just, or disconnected. Hey man, if it doesn't rhyme, the most disconnected person won't get it. Like,
if I'm being completely honest in this entire conversation, I really wasn't narrowing it down to defund the police. I think you jumped on that. I just jumped back on it because I like arguing. But my point is, moving forward, we should just put a little more fucking thought into shit. We always say what shit is. Like global warming and shit like that. We always say like the actual science and climate change. Like
remember how global warming was global warming and then they changed it to climate change too? And
we still can't get anything out of it. We've been calling it climate change for years and the right's still like, yeah, that's the same. Like, that's not real either. Like the president literally was talking to scientists telling them they were full of shit when they were talking about climate change. All the cool sloganing and look what we got. We're still dying, guys. Like nobody gives a fuck about the cute slogan. They don't. Climate change, global warming, people are still rolling coal every day. So, you know, we wear a mask. That's a cool slogan too. 160,000 cases yesterday, 1,500 deaths, 130 Secret Service with the Rona. People dying in jail from COVID that aren't even guilty yet because they can't get out on bail. Wear a mask. What a great slogan. Stay safe, stay home.
Imagine how many more it would be without that slogan though. Just saying.
How many lives do you think were saved by wear a mask versus
millions?
More than zero.
A lot of people.
Versus corona kills if you don't cover your face. You know what I mean? Like
more than zero.
I got
a non-zero number.
Man. I don't know where we're at in time for the show, but
we're about to be done.
Behind you,
We've exhausted it
a minute ago.
Yeah, we pretty much exhausted it. I don't know. The weekend is getting the Super Bowl halftime show, which is great.
I love the weekend.
Yeah, good for him. I'm sure.
I misunderstood it when I heard them say that on the news this morning, and they said the weekend's getting getting a halftime show, and I'm like, halftime's always on the weekend. What the fuck is this?
There's gonna be no WandaVision.
I'm sorry.
There's gonna be no WandaVision until 2021 now. They've pushed it back.
But January though, right?
Yeah, January. It's coming in January, which is great. But it's this was originally supposed to be October, I think.
Yeah. So was Atlanta, and FX pushed that shit back to January. I think it's gonna be a really bunch of disappointing shit in January.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a lot of disappointment in January because that shit's probably gonna get pushed back again.
I do want to talk about this. One good things that did happen out of the election is that drugs are pretty much legal everywhere now. That's a cool thing.
More and more states.
I think there are only 14 states right now where weed is not legal in any way, shape, or form. Of the other like 31 states,
what does Wisconsin got going on?
It's illegal in Wisconsin. It is either medicinal. It's either medicinal or recreational, I think, in like 31 out of the 50 states or something like that. Or 36 out of 50 states? It's something crazy that have something like that. And then I think there's, for the first time, a majority of the states where it's legal are legal for recreational also. So like it's happening, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. In Oregon, it got really great. Oregon was just like, hey man,
Oregon's where you
whatever you got, baby, whatever you got, it's all good.
It's weird too, man, because like when this shit breaks and I have a bachelor party for you, I feel like I should have a bachelor party for you and Kelsey together. Y'all like the same shit.
You know, we went to a wedding one time. We went to a wedding one time where she definitely hung out with the bachelors and not the bachelorettes. For the bachelor party, she was like, I don't want to, whatever the fuck the ladies are doing, I'm not trying to kick it with that shit. I don't want to be part of it. Yeah, it's, you know, Oregon's got all their shit wilding right now. They've decriminalized everything, whether you want to take mushrooms, whether you want to do blow, whatever it is. Oregon is the place to be. So that's where I'll probably be spending my summer next year.
Man, could you imagine? Anybody who's ever done? By the way, I found out my mom is a regular watcher of the show. What's up, Mama XL? Shout out.
Mama XL loves shout outs.
Hey man, that's my mama you talking
about. She loves shout outs, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know, but that sounds dirty for some reason.
No.
Sounds like a your mama joke. I love shout outs, nigga. She love getting shouted out. Mama XL.
Well, go ahead. I think we've accomplished absolutely nothing. I'm very happy that Joe Biden won. I hope that he turns out to be worth all of it.
Kamala.
Do you think he runs a second term if he's alive in 4 years?
I 100% believe he will not. I think.
Really?
Sorry, this is the mushrooms kicking in. I think he is setting up Kamala to be the president. Like he had her speak. This motherfucker was vice president to Obama. I didn't even realize this. He was vice president to Obama twice, and he never spoke the night of the election win.
No, Obama knew better. Obama was like, nah.
And he knew to give her that space.
Yeah.
And I like,
the advisors are good. I'll tell you that. I'll say that the advisors are good.
I think that's the only way we get a woman. I think she'd have to be here
by a man stepping to the side.
Yeah. For real. I think like him retiring like the last year. He does 3 years and then he announces he'll be 80. Says, you know what, I'm 80. I thought I could do this shit. Turns out being president at 80 sucks. That's why
I think it depends on how it's going. I think if he's like crushing and shit's moving forward and they own the Senate, I think he's probably like, shit, what am I quitting for now? I think if he's struggling and the job is taking its toll on him and he's dealing with bullshit and it's a lot of weight, he might be like, I think I might need to set it down for a minute.
Change nothing, but in the normal circumstances, I would have liked to have known this before the election. I didn't know he had 2 aneurysms. Yeah. I knew
he smells a little cockeyed,
Yeah. I didn't know he had two aneurysms. He's 77 with 2 aneurysms. That's I don't see his motherfucker doing 8 years, fam. Like he lucky. He's in great shape. He does a little jog shit to fuck with Trump all the time. I bet on inauguration day, if Trump punk ass show up, he
ain't showing up. He ain't showing up.
He probably jog up the Capitol steps.
He ain't showing up.
Freezing cold. I don't give a fuck. Hey, what's up, Trump? How'd you get here? A walker, nigga?
Hey man, where can people find you online, brother?
Usually XL Comedy is up there, but today
the T is in.
Not because I want to just do a quick. I know we're trying to end the show real quick. I wanted to shout out to Find Justice for Quan Charles, aka Bobby, the 14-year-old in Louisville that went missing, and they found him, and his body was badly mutilated. And I hate to end the show on a heavy note, but that's some real shit that happened October 30th, and it wasn't even in the news. The only reason I found out about the shit was I was looking up.
Enhance the police. Enhance the police. Right? Is that a good one?
Nigga, you need to know about timing better.
Enhance the police.
Anyway, Justice for Quan Charles. You can find me at XL Comedy. That's it.
You can find me at Mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram, where I will probably be fighting with Democrats for the rest of my life over what progressive values are. You can find the show at New OGs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Go to at People of Comedy Network or at People of Comedy on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you find them on Facebook and YouTube and watch all the videos of all the different podcasts they have. Get over to GoSolarMasters.com. Refer somebody that you know. Get yourself some money. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's been a great one. Congrats to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. First Black lady, first South Asian lady ever to be vice president. We'll catch y'all next week. That's what's up.
What's up?
Nigga, you can't blame us. Whole lot of niggas changed since we came up. They can try to steal the moves, but they ain't us. Think you gang, but nigga, you a stranger. Bitches wanna fuck, but nigga, you can't blame us. You can't. Bitch, you better play your role.